didn't have courts really to any specific purpose. And as I said, it's old feudal privileges. The nobles still control the armies. The peasants are serfs in conditions, as we can kind of say, very close to slavery. But East Prussia, remember this, the Prussia that's in Poland, this Prussia right here, becomes independent in 1660 and tied to Brandenburg, okay, as part of the continuing wars that are going on, kind of post war, post 30 Years' War, and Muscovy, as you will read about tonight, is basically the controlling power of not Moscow, so Russia. It's called Muscovy before it's called Russia, the Russian Empire. They will start eating away at Poland after 1660 a little bit. They'll take Kiev at some point. They'll take Smolensk, which is another city, and essentially, as we can see, look, I mean, 1660 Republic of Poland is huge. They have Kiev, they have Lemberg, they have Warsaw, like the major cities. They have all this Baltic coastline, and in 1795 they are gone. They are gone. They are partitioned in the late 1700s by these greater powers, these powers that are forming. So they are gone. All right, let's go to the Ottoman Empire. Things you need to know about the Ottoman Empire. Much larger than Poland or the Holy Roman Empire. Slightly better organized. It's built on military prowess. As I said, the Janissaries are the soldiers that you kind of, that's the standing army. They have substantial artillery. They are empowered financially by being geographically that power that's close to trading routes, right? I mean, Constantinople, like trading routes in the east, they are still important. And by the 17th century, though, they're kind of falling behind Europe, especially France. And France is kind of meddling in Turkish affairs. As we know, they have these merchant deals with there. The kings of France had made treaties with the Ottoman Sultan since the mid-1530s. Remember, France and the Turks would always team up in all those wars against the Holy Roman Empire, so that the Ottomans were attacking from here, France would attack from here, so just kept the Holy Roman Empire and the Habsburgs in constant conflict. The one big Sultan, aka the Caliph, right? We also know that the Sultan was also the Caliph. So the Sultan being the political ruler and Caliph, the head of the Islamic community, one in the same person. Suleiman the Magnificent is the one guy that you really need to know. He is the one who starts invading Vienna in 1683. He's the main guy that you need to know. Siege of Vienna in 1683. Also remember that the Ottoman Empire was very, very important in bringing down Spain. Remember, Spain wasn't just at war with France and England and the Dutch and everybody else. They were also at war with the Turks, and one of the reasons why they spent so much money on these wars. Remember the Battle of Lepanto? The Battle of Lepanto, 1570, I believe. That's one of those major naval battles that, was it Philip II? Philip II won that one, but at great cost. So let's just call it a Pyrrhic victory. Pyrrhic victory being a victory that is a victory, but that costs much more than it actually is worth. Hold on one second. I'm going to take a sip of coffee. Okay. So no separation of church and state here, but they did allow subject peoples to keep their religions and cultures for a tax. For a tax. The Ottomans allowed them to do it for a tax. Armenians are important. Jews, neither forced nor subjected to proselytizing. There was very little conversion, so they're more tolerant. And I've mentioned the French merchants part, the kings of France. But essentially, after Suleiman, we can kind of say, well, Turkish rule definitely starts to kind of degrade. And it's going back to that kind of crusade-like mentality where the powers of Europe are going to constantly look at the Ottomans and say, well, we want them out of here. I mean, like, we don't like Islam. We have never liked Islam. We've never agreed with it. So there's going to be that kind of Christians seeing Turks and Islam as oppressive people, as, you know, not tolerant, even though they are actually more tolerant than Europeans. So, again, okay. So let's go to the formation of Austria. Let's, because we didn't get that going very well. Let's see. Let's find our Austria map. Hold on. Should we do a little Jeopardy music? Okay, here we go. All right, so this is Austria. The pink is Austria in 1521. Okay, so it's a bit smaller. The crown of Bohemia, which was a separate crown in 1526, which 1526, think Battle of Mohawks, and another one of those battles between Turks and Austrian Habsburgs. Imperial Hungary, so in 1526, that's when they beat back the Turks and in Battle of Mohawks and claim this land. And then Hungary, the Kingdom of Hungary, is Crown of Hungary 1526 to 1699. They expand, they get Galicia from the first partition of Poland in 1772. So you see kind of how Hungary is expanding. Okay, so let's talk about Hungary. Let's talk about Hungary, not in this sense in 1660, but let's talk about Hungary just in general. I mean, sorry, Austria-Hungary. Now, there's a very, very important story about the croissant. Okay, the croissant, as legend has it, comes from Austria. Now, the croissant, it's 1683. The Turks are sieging Vienna, and the bakers in Vienna, after 2 months, they're getting nervous. They don't know what to do. They're these famous bakers that, like, they think that the Ottomans are about to come in, but they kind of want to hedge their bets. So they're saying, well, okay, so what are we going to do if the Ottomans indeed come and invade us, and, like, how are we going to, like, stop them from killing us? So they have this idea that croissant, they develop these new rolls called the croissant, which the croissant in French literally means crescent. So they're crescent rolls. And the symbol of Islam is the crescent. So basically the legend has it is that the bakers baked croissants in order to kind of say, if the Turks were going to come in, they were going to say, hey, here, we baked these for you. But they also were hedging their bets by saying if the Austrians won, they would be like, hey, we baked these in honor of us beating the people whose symbol is the crescent. Right? So, interestingly, the croissant becomes the thing that the French bakers bake in honor of Louis XVI's marriage to Marie Antoinette, who is a Habsburg princess, Austrian Habsburg princess. The marriage of Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette of Austria is this big diplomatic union, right? And in celebration of that marriage in the 1770s, I'm pretty sure 1770s in France, they bake the croissant. So that's how the croissant becomes a French thing, but it was originally an Austrian thing, all due to Turkish aggression. So hopefully when I ask you guys about that tomorrow, you guys will have watched this and you will know all about the croissant story. Okay, so fundamentally, the victory over the Turks in this time period for Austria allows Austria to do a lot of things. So the question being, how did a strong Austrian Habsburg monarchy rise out of the Holy Roman Empire? Let's talk about this. Austrian Habsburgs had been the Holy Roman Emperors since the mid-14th century. We know that. And it consisted of three parts. We also know this. We know that it's the Holy Roman Empire, but it's also Bohemia, it's Hungary, and Austria. Bohemia was reincorporated into the Holy Roman Empire during the 30 Years' War. I think we talked about that in our simulation. And the Ottomans had conquered